Welcome back to another episode of TLE TV, TLE News, TLE Radio. I'm your host, Stevie B. And you already know what we're going to talk about. The most popping thing that's being talked about right now. The protests, police brutality, excessive force, and so on. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to go ahead and touch on it some more. I was going to go live, but I decided, you know what, there's some things I wanted to add in post-production that I can't put in right now based upon my current setup. But we're gonna go ahead and get it done in post-production. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this gem for y'all real quick. Now, from coast to coast and around the globe, there's protests have clogged the streets in the name of police brutality and excessive force. To say the death of George Floyd sparked the protests would denigrate the deaths of so many black men, women, and children at the hands of police. As the battle cries ring out accusing police of heavy-handed policing in communities of black and brown, police are denying the evident. Now, these cops are saying that it is exactly the opposite that is happening, and when they do use force, it is justified in the name of self-preservation and the safety of others. Now, maybe there is that one-off chance that one officer does take it too far, but all in all, the cops do no wrong. That is their standpoint. That is what the police unions will have you to believe. All in the while, slandering and belittling the anguish and suffering of the black and brown communities. These officers of the law will blatantly lie to your face, and they will tell you that it's a sunny day in the middle of a rainstorm. Well, Stevie B, how do you say that? How can you come to that conclusion? Well, it's plain and simple. Here's how. As you can see, example after example after example of police officers using unnecessary force against protesters protesting police use of unnecessary force. There's plenty of examples. Just go to Instagram, just go to Facebook, turn on the news. You'll see plenty of examples of police using unnecessary force on protesters who are peacefully protesting, police using unnecessary force. Now, it's quite the coinkydink, don't you think? Now, we as black Americans have long been under a police state. We are not allowed to talk back to police. We are not allowed to ignore the police. We are not allowed to turn our backs to police. We are not allowed to even comply with police without the risk of drawing the ire of a rogue cop having a bad day. Now, you've heard the jokes from all the comedians about how white people mouth off to police and they sometimes get into a fuss with police, while black people are told to just say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. There's so many variations of jokes centered on the differences between the white interaction with police and the black interaction with police. These jokes, they don't just come out of nowhere. They're not just coming out of the crack of the comedian's ass. These jokes are based in real life situations and experiences. Now, as a black man, you can't even look at a police officer in the eye unless he feels threatened and decides to flex his gun and badge. Now, what the hell is that? In some cultures, yeah, it may be a sign of disrespect, but police take that a step further. You look them in the eye. You look at them hard in the eye, unwavering, unfaltering. They see it as a threat. They see it as a stance of combatants, of resistance. And then what do you think they do? They flex. That's what they do. And now these cops, they're blanketed in the safety of qualified immunity and they're shielded by this gun and badge. These are mere mortals on a power trip, especially when they gang up on a suspect who is resisting. Now, until these bastards can own their bullshit and intentionally implement a complete 180 on their police tactics, we'll still be singing the same old song 2, 3, 4 decades, not years, decades down the line. I mean, come on. It is 20 goddamn 20. It's been happening since before the 60s. We've been talking about this. In the 60s, we've been talking about this. The 70s, we've been talking about this. The 80s, we've been talking about this. The 90s, we've been talking about this. 2000s, we've been talking about it. It is 20 goddamn 20, and we are still singing the same goddamn song. It's 2020, and we're still begging them to acknowledge that our lives matter, our voices matter. Fuck it, our humanity matters. Begging, hands up, in a submissive stance, begging, please don't kill us. Black people, we are fucking insane. This is insanity. How long do we got to continue to beg before they say, okay, you know what? I'm tired of killing niggas. I'm tired of killing niggers. How long do we have to continue to beg? I have to say this, though. The Civil Rights Act was just talk before Negroes got fed up and took the drama to the white man's mama. The Voting Rights Act was just conjecture until black people brought the pressure. But our biggest fucking mistake as a people is cooling off once a concession is made. For example, let's talk about the Voting Rights Act. Now, with the Voting Rights Act, that should have been a one and done deal. No need to come back to it. But let's look it up, people. The Voting Rights Act is something that has to be renewed every couple of years, every several years. Look it up. There's a set number of years where they have to come back and they got to vote. Are we going to renew this or not? Why? Why do we have to go through a renewal of the Voting Rights Act? Are we going to get to a point where we're not going to let black vote anymore? Think about it. Yeah, really, just think about it for a second. Why does it have to be renewed when they can lay out blanket legislation clearing the way for all citizens, regardless of color, race, creed, sexual orientation, gender, and more, to be able to vote without oppression? It is reprehensible what we have done as a people. And they continue to exploit and capitalize on this weakness of ours, where we could quickly concede once they meet one particular demand. We don't push forward for true equality. We don't push forward. How about we push forward to have the 3/5 stricken from the Constitution when it comes to black people? It's still there. It's still part of the Constitution. How about we have it stricken from the Constitution? How about a specific amendment that goes back and says black people are not property, black people are not 3/5 of a person? How about we do that? Clear text, language that cannot be removed, renewed, or anything. It just says it. How about that? Now, MLK realized his mistake right before they killed him. Integrating us within society. He moved us into a burning house. He realized that mistake. They couldn't let his eye-opening revelation reach critical mass. So every time they want to talk about MLK, they want to talk about his I Have a Dream speech. They want to talk before his eyes was awakened. Before his eyes was awakened to what's really going on. They don't want to talk about the real revolutionary MLK. They don't tell you about Malcolm X. Why is it that MLK has a day but Malcolm X doesn't? Think about that for a second. Why are they giving us our heroes? We're supposed to choose our heroes. Why are they giving us who we're supposed to celebrate? Think about that. So, with that being said, yeah, you can preach defund the police. Yes, you can propose police reforms. Yeah, you can bring all kinds of ideas to the table and charge however many cops you want. But until quantifiable change is realized, an action plan implemented for the next step beyond those changes, black people, please do not run out of steam. Keep your foot on the neck of the oppressor until those bastards are now crying, I can't breathe. So then we can be like that officer that told Eric, I forget his name, Tulsa, Oklahoma, where the reserve cop shot that man with the gun. And then the other undercover cop was on that man, and the man kept saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. You know what that officer said? Fuck your breath. So now, when we keep our foot on the necks of the oppressor, and keep pushing that pressure until we get the change that we are looking for, the changes that we need to truly be an equal society, once they start crying, I can't breathe, you turn around and tell them, Fuck your breath. They ain't give two shit about ours. Did they? Ask Eric Garner. Ask George Floyd. Ask so many others. Fuck your breath. I'm Stevie B. This is TLE TV, TLE News, TLE Radio. I want to say we coming, but black folks, it's up to you to keep the pressure coming. It's up to you. It's up to us. Don't pull back on the throttle now. Keep it coming. While out, and I'm out.